Welcome. Today, we are diving deep into a really radical framework that completely challenges how we think about intelligence, about truth, and honestly, the very nature of learning itself. So let's just start with a question that gets right to the heart of everything. How do you really know that you understand something? Is it a feeling? That click, that sense of certainty you get? Well, what if I told you that this framework suggests that the very confidence we lean on so heavily might actually be our biggest blind spot? And this is the critical distinction right here. On one side, you've got the feeling of understanding. It's all intuition, it's fast, it's easy. But it can also be totally shapeless, a state this framework calls cognitive liquidity. And that shapelessness, it can actually cause a lot of anxiety because nothing feels solid. But on the other side, you have knowing you understand. And that's built on a rigid logical structure, a schema that gives your knowledge actual bones. It doesn't run from friction, it practically begs for it because that's how it grows. Now get this. This framework actually identifies overconfidence as a specific cognitive bug. It's called Gate 7 conceit, and it's seen as the #1 reason we stop learning. Why? Because it makes us actively resist the very updates we need to build a strong mental framework. So, if confidence is the enemy of growth, what on earth should we be aiming for instead? Okay, so if confidence is out and IQ is seen as just a subordinate tool, what's the new benchmark for genius? Well, this framework proposes a completely different way of measuring it. The whole idea here is to completely flip the script. Forget about celebrating an individual's high IQ. The new metric is something called a High Network Development Coefficient, or CDEV for short. The focus literally moves away from your personal processing power and shifts onto your ability to help the entire network get smarter. And let's be super clear about this. CDEV isn't about you, it's about us. It actually measures the cognitive growth and maturity of the entire system. So in this view, true genius isn't defined by what you know. It's defined by how effectively your knowledge helps everyone else build their own understanding. It's a total paradigm shift. All right, so how do we even begin to make that kind of contribution? First, we need a really rigorous process for seeing the world clearly, a way to press past all the noise and the surface level stuff to find out what's really going on underneath. So first, we bump into something called acid, or truthfulness. Just think of this as the raw data. It's the headlines you see, the chatter on social media, the events happening right in front of you. It's the apparition of reality. It's truthful in the sense that, yes, it exists, but it is absolutely not the whole story. Because beneath that noisy surface lies al-haq, the operational truth. This is the pure extracted essence. It's the deep underlying principle. The why behind the what. This is the governing reality that actually explains all those surface-level events. And this is just a brilliant illustration of how you get from that surface data to the deep truth. It's called the al-asr, or pressing protocol. I love the metaphor of a pomegranate. You don't just eat the whole thing, right? You don't eat the tough husk or the bitter pulp. No, you press it to get the pure juice, the al-haq, and you throw away the rest. The noise, the biases, the false narratives, that all gets discarded. Now here's where it gets really interesting and really personal. This whole process of extraction, it isn't just for analyzing the world out there, it's about building the very structure of your own mind. This framework describes our nafs, which you can think of as our cognitive essence, as an uncut diamond. It is full of potential, for sure, but in its raw state, it lacks structure, it lacks facets, it lacks brilliance. It's really just a starting point. So to get polished, to gain those brilliant facets of real understanding, it has to embrace a struggle. And that means necessary friction. The hardship, the difficulty that comes from really challenging our beliefs and pressing for those deeper truths. So the key takeaway here? Real learning isn't supposed to be easy. That struggle is actually the point. And this polishing process follows a very clear developmental path. It starts with step 1, sulala. You're pulling a core idea out from this mud of confusing data. Then, step 2, mudgha. You're chewing on that idea, really processing it until it makes sense. And then the critical part, step 3, azam. This is where you build the logical bones, that solid schema. And finally, step 4, anshana, where the knowledge evolves and becomes an inseparable part of who you are, a new creation. This final structure, the schema, this is the whole goal of the internal process. It's what gives your knowledge that rock-solid foundation, allowing you to finally move beyond that watery, shapeless cognitive liquidity and all the anxiety that comes with it. Okay, so we've gone through this whole rigorous process. We have pressed for truth, we've forged our own cognitive bones. But why? What's the ultimate purpose of all this work? It's not just to build some internal fortress of knowledge. It's not for you alone. The ultimate goal, the primary function of a polished, developed mind, is to perform zakat, and that is the purified transfer of your hard-won knowledge back to the network, specifically to help everyone else grow. And see, this act of giving back is what truly validates your own understanding. It is the literal opposite of that Gate 7 conceit we talked about earlier, which just hoards knowledge for itself. This transfer is what strengthens the entire network and directly contributes to a higher collective CDEV for everyone. So the most crucial point is this. The final proof of your knowledge isn't what you feel inside. It's not your confidence, it's not your intuition, it's your ability to effectively and clearly give it away to others to help them build their own understanding. Which leaves us with a final thought to reflect on. Just look at the world around you. The news you see, the opinions you hold so dear, what surface-level truthfulness in your own life is just sitting there waiting for you to look deeper, to embrace that friction and to press out the real operational truth?